to bring his ass to this ring? Give me a hell yeah!
Well, as I understand it, they are inking in some matches for next week's pay-per-view. I'm WB Ward.
And I'm Chip Douglas. I thought their pay-per-view was tonight.
No, it's next
Is it
week.
Next Sunday?
Yeah, next Sunday.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Next
never mind
Sunday.
then.
I know in the last show we were on, we were all saying it was going to be this week. And after we got off, I looked at the calendar. I thought, what the hell were we thinking?
But
that's not until the 26th.
I thought I heard something on another podcast yesterday that was me tonight. But yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's next week.
Somebody else is making the same mistake, huh?
I think a lot of people are just anxious to get it over with.
Are you really thinking this is not going to be very good?
Lackluster, to say the least.
Well, I truthfully have never seen a Hell in the Cell pay-per-view.
Oh, really?
How does that differ from just your run-of-the-mill cage match?
Well, Hell in the Cell has a roof. And also...
Oh, that's right, yeah, because most of the cages don't have a roof on.
Exactly. And Hell in a Cell extends itself beyond just the ring. It's basically like the whole entrance, not the entrance area, but like the outside.
The ring apron and even the floor.
Even the floor.
Up, leading up to like the barricade.
Almost.
So they actually have a little bit more wrestle room.
Right.
Then okay. So now I feel ashamed of myself that I've never seen one of these.
Oh my goodness.
So I could see where that would possibly put another dynamic into it because having the more room, they can throw each other out of the ring physically, but only to a certain distance, and they cannot climb over the top of the ring,
right,
or over the top of the wall. I mean, so I can see that being a little added dynamic to it.
And also, just a lot of things you can do outside the area. Use the cage effectively. There's been times where they've played it where they've gone through the cage as far as on the side to go outside on top of the roof.
Yes.
Man, if you've never seen King of the Ring, since you have hashtag WB Network, you really need to look at King of the Ring 97, 98.
King of the Ring 97, 98.
Yeah, Mankind versus Undertaker.
Oh, is that the one where he got slammed through the...
slammed through the cage. That was through a Hell in a Cell match.
I have seen that, snippets of that over the years.
Yeah.
And
the whole match is great.
That's a hell of a drop.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hell of a drop.
That was the one that wasn't planned.
I've often wondered about that.
Yep. The
cage just gave
way.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, because I've read stories about it, because I was so fascinated with the whole match, is the first one, because there was two falls. The first one is where the Undertaker threw him off the cage onto the announce table. That one was planned.
Sure.
Hurt him, separated his shoulder, but that one was planned. But they only did Hell in a Cell one time prior to that, and that was Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, and they used the same cage. And Undertaker and Shawn Michaels also went on the roof of that cage, so it was already weakened. So when the first time they were up there, you saw the cage break a couple of times, and it looked scary. And so the second time they went up there, choke slam right through it, and a steel chair came down with him and busted out one of his tooth.
One of his tooth?
One of his tooth.
Yeah, that poor guy, he's lost so many body parts in the ring over the years.
Yeah.
Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, all rolled up into one.
Yep.
Mick Foley is God.
Mick Foley is God. Mick Foley for president.
and ironically, the man writes children's books.
Right.
That part I just think is absolutely hilarious.
So today's show, we got a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to have a tweet of the week and the weekly countdown. WB has some rumors to go over, Raw highlights, and I got some insider news on storylines that would have happened back in 06, 07. That is very interesting, and I really think you will find very upsetting at the same time.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and let's dive into this, and let's get things rocking and rolling.
Where am I going?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What time is it, kids?
For some reason, I imagine that I get a huge pop every time that goes off. There you go. There's the pop. It's brought to you by the Hall of Fame of SCI Twitter's WB Creative Humor. It goes, here's a tip. Please don't refer Dean Ambrose as the lunatic fringe at airport security.
No.
He did not like the cavity search.
Oh, man, I can't believe this. I was trying to put in my small group clapping.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
It started to run again. Okay.
Thank you to our live studio audience.
Yes, I appreciate that, gang. You bunch of thriving little morons. Yeah, you kind of gotta watch what you say when you're at the airport nowadays.
Yeah, P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Especially with Ebola.
Oh, I'm telling you, that Ebola scare is getting quite interesting.
Yes, it is.
And have you ever traveled internationally?
Mexico, that's it.
Oh, I used to live in Mexico.
Yeah.
I learned a lesson in crossing over into the Mexican border. We had in the back of our van when I was crossing over, and forgive me, this has nothing to do with wrestling.
Right.
But we had in the back of the van a soda dispenser. At the time I was working for a radio station, and being out in the desert, we gave away free soft drinks, free soda, whenever we went and did a live remote broadcast somewhere. That was helped make it a very popular draw. However, at the time, you notice I call it soda.
Right.
This is the reason why. If you've ever wondered why, whenever you hear me refer to soft drinks, I call them sodas now. Oh. Because I made the sad mistake when we were driving into Mexico. The Mexican customs officer came over to the station's van. I was driving, and he came up to the van and said, "Senor, do you have anything in the back of the van?" And I went, "No, nothing except that Coke machine."
Oh, Lord.
Wrong choice of words to use on the board. We never made it to the broadcast.
And he told the machine gun guy.
Yeah. and that's just not a smart thing to do. But
because I've crossed that same border several times.
So help me God, that was a true story. that was a true story. It really happened. I've never been so afraid in my life. But like you said, we do have some interesting news and tidbits of information. Yes. I've stumbled across a very interesting rumor that we're going to get into here in just a moment. Right now, let's take a look at this week's countdown, and afterwards, see if you could name the theme song.
Number 10.
Rusev Udria, Rusev Machka.
Rusev, the big man from Russia, makes his debut on the top 10 this week. As Big E was reminded the hard way on WWE Main Event, Rusev means business when he wants to batter an opponent. Now the Russian jingoist seeks to repeat that merciless lesson for Big Show.
Number 9.
AJ Lee didn't back down after being forced to fight alone on Raw by Layla, but the reigning Divas champion still has not figured out how to quell the threat imposed by Paige and Alicia Fox.
Number 8.
Amidst the heightened sense of suspense heading into the WWE Hell in a Cell, one thing remains true. Brock Lesnar remains a WWE World Heavyweight Champion with no one stepping forward to challenge him. Likewise, the WWE Universe has chosen to vote him down 4 positions in this week's rankings. If he remains silent for the upcoming pay-per-view, will he remain in the top 10 very long?
Number 7.
The Usos didn't fare well when they were dragged into the rivalry between John Cena and Dean Ambrose on Raw, though the Samoan duo regained their footing in a tag team clash on SmackDown, and this was what was responsible for the giant 4-position improvement over last week's countdown.
Number 6.
While losing to The Miz via countout on Raw was a heartbreaker, U.S. Champion Sheamus appeared back on track as he made WWE Tag Team Champion Goldust eat a brogue kick on SmackDown.
Number 5.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler's momentum came to a screeching halt this week thanks to tough luck losses against Randy Orton and Seth Rollins on Raw and SmackDown respectively. Even still, the WWE Universe is solidly behind the show-off as they move him up 1 position from last week.
Number 4.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
After destabilizing Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler on Raw with an RKO for the ages, Randy Orton reaffirmed his status as WWE's apex predator to Seth Rollins. Then the Viper cut himself into position to go another round with John Cena at WWE Hell in a Cell.
Number 3.
On the one hand, Seth Rollins showed that he can handle himself in the ring with dominant wins against the Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger on Raw and SmackDown respectively. On the other hand, he now has nowhere to hide from Dean Ambrose at WWE Hell in a Cell.
Number 2.
No matter how you slice it, John Cena came up short on Raw in claiming the chance for retribution against Seth Rollins. The C-Nation leader can't lament his loss to Dean Ambrose for long, especially since an encore Hell in a Cell match against Randy Orton is now looming on the horizon. And now, with this week's climb to the top of the chart,
Number 1.
when Dean Ambrose says he wants something, don't doubt for a second that he will eventually realize his goal. The eccentric superstar's unwavering determination finally paid off as Ambrose humbled John Cena in order to clinch a highly anticipated Hell in a Cell match against former Shield ally Seth Rollins. And for this reason, he remains number 1 for the second week running. That's this week's SCI Top 10 PowerPoints. Do you know it yet?
Is that the Red Rooster?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, of course I know that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard that theme.
Oh, my gosh.
Not a bad song, but perhaps one of the worst gimmicks WWE has ever had, I think.
I think the thing with that whole gimmick is the fact that I think it would have worked, but Terry Taylor hated it so much.
Wouldn't you?
Well, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You know, as far as the countdown this week is concerned, I'm not surprised Rusev was on it. I am a little surprised that it's taken him a while to get there.
I agree.
Because you think what you will of his character and the storyline in which he's in, he's actually a fairly solid performer.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right in the fact that he hasn't gained this much. He's gained a lot of steam so far, so going into Hell in a Cell, see what happens.
And, you know, I've always had respect for him, but
Yeah.
when I saw him playing off of The Rock a couple of weeks back, I was really impressed.
Yeah, I did too. But I'm really surprised about how Brock Lesnar has fallen. Now, you get these based off the WBE universe.
And what's really unique is you can see, if you go to the WWE website, you can see who they're clearly pushing, because WWE.com keeps Brock in the number 1 position consistently week after week after week. And I have no idea how they can possibly justify that.
So is this the WBE universe losing interest in Brock Lesnar? I think that's what's very
Well,
interesting
yeah,
about
you're
this.
out of sight, you're out of mind.
Exactly.
After a while, you know, the public's memory is somewhat limited. I mean, you can jar their memory and make their memory come back. All he's got to do to get a 5-position bump on the countdown is just to simply show his face. He doesn't even have to do anything. All he's got to do is show up, and I guarantee you he's going to go up at least 5 positions on that countdown.
I think Hell in a Cell. I think he has to make an appearance there.
I don't know if he will or not. At first, I was thinking he probably was, but I'm not so sure now.
Right.
Okay, now, you were kind of alluding to some news or a story or something like that a little earlier. What do you got?
Yeah, this is really cool. I got a text last night from an inside source, Marcus Hathcock. And he goes, I don't know how credible this is.
Okay.
But I just thought it was very interesting and very surprising. And I texted him. I go, hey, is this legit? He goes, 100%. And so I'm taking his source.
Well,
here.
he's pretty reliable.
And so, do you remember the Muhammad Hassan character?
Muhammad Hassan, that really rings a bell.
He was on SmackDown. He was the I think it's Pakistani national character. Pretend he's from Arab nations, Muslim.
Yes.
Very Muslim character driven.
Mm-hmm.
And he got fired by the WBE for basically, it wasn't his fault, but the fact that they used a terrorist angle with people coming out in all black to help him. And they got a lot of crap from it, and so they end up terminating his contract.
About what year was this? Do you remember?
It's 07.
Okay. Well, at least it was before 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it wasn't. If it was in 07, because 9/11 happened in 2001.
so it was after 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason why they kind of threw a fit about it. But anyways, the original plans for Muhammad Hassan were for him to beat Batista for the world title in D.C. on the 4th of July.
Oh, my God. I'm so glad they didn't do that.
But because of backstage politics, he was fired instead. And they were 3 weeks away from pulling the trigger. So this was in early June that they terminated him. But the plan as of early June was for him to beat Batista in D.C. on the 4th of July.
Wow. I am so glad they didn't do that. I mean, WWE would have really suffered as a result of that.
Gosh.
Now, do you think the recent storyline with Rusev is simply a rehash of this? I can see some similarities.
To a lesser extent. I mean, because we're not like in big time war with Russia. I mean, Russia's always one of those borderlines.
Well, we were in a Cold War with them. Of
Right.
course, I grew up in that generation where nuclear war was always a possibility.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, there was one time during my childhood, we did go through the Cuban Missile Crisis where Khrushchev had missiles just 90 miles off the coast of Florida.
Right.
And we were just like seconds away from a possible nuclear attack. So we still have that memory. With Vladimir Putin in office, now we're starting to heat back up to possibly another Cold War. So, yeah, I can see some similarities here.
I mean, they've always used those type of characters ever since the coming of time. Back in World War II or after World War II, the German characters are very big.
Yes.
Iron Sheik. I mean, he came at a perfect time because it's back when Iran. Nikita Koloff, Cold War from Russia.
Nikita Koloff, the
USSR.
Yep.
So they use these characters. They used to always do the national anthems.
Yep.
Right there in the middle of the ring. Showing my age or lack of thereof. But yeah, but they used to always use those type of characters.
I'm impressed you knew it was the national anthem.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard him sing it like 90 times.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks to #WB Network. That's just... It works most of the time. I think Rusev's working.
He is, and I think he's going over well.
I really think The Rock gave him credibility.
Oh, very much so. And the fact that he played against him so well.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, you ready for the rumor I stumbled across?
Oh, yeah, ready.
This came out in a podcast from Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
Where he made a passing comment that he was getting ready to make a comeback.
Right.
Now, as it turned out, at that time, specifically, he was referring to a comeback of going back into the gym and working out. He later on did say that, okay, I'm really not in the mood to go back into training for wrestling or work on any storylines or anything like that. However, somehow or another, some of the story came out that there is a rumor that the storyline, or at least thoughts of a storyline, are falling into place for a possible match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and CM Punk.
Oh, no.
You don't see that as being something good? I thought you
no, it'd be great.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it'd be amazing. It'd be it'd be a dream match, but
It would indeed.
Man, the mountains that would have to be moved. Oh my gosh! I just think CM Punk's legitimately done.
When you consider Stone Cold's ego, you can see that being a possibility. But when you consider CM Punk's resolve, you're kind of thinking, okay, no, he's going to pee all over that.
Right.
He'll qualm that just almost immediately. But even still, the possible payday for that would just be astronomical.
Oh my gosh, it'd be through the roof.
I don't know how either one of them. I don't think either one of them are really hurting for money, but still, I don't see how either one of them could walk away from that potential payday.
I mean, easy 7 figures. For one match.
Oh, definitely. One night's work period, you're done.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see, too, if Stone Cold has enough gas left in his WrestleMobile to even do this now.
Right.
Because that guy's been through the ringer over the years.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
Knees are bad, shoulders bad, of course his neck and back.
What the hell is going on with the Wyatts?
The right now the storyline is they're actually separating Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
Mm-hmm. That certainly seems to be what the video teases
to do single runs.
Yeah.
They're well, from everything I've heard right now is Bray Wyatt's actually going to turn face.
Really?
Or the possibility of they're going to bring in 2 other guys to be part of his family. Like he's corrupted Luke Bryan, or not Luke Bryan, the country singer, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan enough to where he could set them free and to get their own disciples or whatever, do their own destruction. So there's another rumor of them bringing in 2 more to replace them.
Well, they are doing a very interesting thing here. Of course, the big buildup for the Wyatts to begin with was this very elaborate video production that just dropped into WWE programming ever so often. And they are doing the exact same thing again for this introduction into this chapter of their wrestling career.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see if the audience supports it as much as they did the first one, because I will never forget watching the Wyatts walk out on the stage for the first time and hearing the thunderous reaction from the WWE fans. I've never seen a reaction like that with anybody making their debut.
Oh, no.
So that was a real first. It'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that type of intensity on this return.
Who do you see be the breakout star here?
Oh, I think it has to be the you know how bad I am with names. The tall, dark-haired guy.
Yeah, you're right.
Luke
Harper.
Luke Harper. Okay. Yeah, he's going to be the breakout star of that, I'm pretty sure. He reminds me so much of Jim Brody.
Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody. Yeah, he reminds me a lot of him, and I think the wrestling industry is hungry for that type of a character again, because they haven't had that in years.
I think he's main event. I really think you will see him in main events. Give it about a year, 2 years.
I don't think it'll take that long.
You don't think it'll take that long?
No.
I just think because the influx of heels right now is the thing. There's a lot of top heels right now. And very few baby faces. One
thing, too, I think they need to bring back is the cruiser division.
Cruiserweights?
Cruiserweights, yeah.
Did you watch that special on WB Network?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my gosh. It's part of the Monday Night War where it talks all about the cruiserweights and how they affected the Monday Night War.
I wonder why they've pretty much ignored that.
Man, there's been rumors for years and years and years that they're bringing it back. They would do these mass signings.
Mm-hmm.
Of cruiserweights, like independent cruiserweights, guys from Mexico and Japan, to do a cruiserweight, but they never would pull the trigger. Vince McMahon is not a cruiserweight guy. He doesn't believe in it. He believes in the muscles and big size, and that's what draws, that's what sells. You can see Triple H is influenced now.
I think the fans of Rey Mysterio may argue that.
Right, and in the perfect world, I don't ever think Vince McMahon would ever want or ever push Mysterio to be a main eventer.
But he was.
He was, but I think that was more of Rey Mysterio's doing than Vince McMahon's.
Yeah, very likely. Very, very likely could. I personally would love to see the cruiserweights return.
Man, on that special, I mean, it really draws the attention of the fact that the big storyline WCW is NWO.
Mm-hmm.
And they rarely wrestled, or if they did, they were horrible at it. So the cruiserweights were the ones that really carried the show with their brand new style, their fast pace. I remember watching Rey Mysterio for the first time as a kid and being blown away, thinking, this is new. This is awesome. Same thing with Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the case of Mysterio, that man was born with wings on his back.
Yes.
And he's probably one of the few masked wrestlers who has been unmasked multiple times.
Right.
He's one of the few masked wrestlers that I think the average wrestling fan actually knows what he looks like.
He looks like a little kid.
He does.
It's sad. I'm glad they kept the mask on him because he looks like a child.
Yeah, there's a good reason he wears the mask.
Yes.
There is a good reason behind that. In our last few remaining minutes, if you can believe that already.
Wow.
Somewhat returning back to Rusev for a moment. I saw a little hint when Big Show and Rusev were in the ring the other night. That makes me wonder if Mark Henry might be getting ready to turn heel and actually join forces with Rusev.
Or turn on Big Show.
Turn on Big Show definitely, but I'm thinking you might even see a coalition develop between Rusev and Mark Henry.
How would that work?
I don't know. I don't know.
I would think more than anything he would just turn on Big Show and then that would start Big Show Mark Henry feud.
I hate that Mark Henry might turn heel. Because I love the guy as a face. I think he's wonderful.
Right.
And like you said, we've had an influx of heels all of a sudden. So we've certainly got enough of those right now.
Right.
And Mark Henry is old school enough. He could bring back some substantiation into the ring as far as believable matches. Well thought out storylines and stuff like that. Because he's a hell of an actor.
Oh, yeah.
On top of all that.
Oh, yeah.
And I just hate to see that going by the wayside if he turns heel. And I think a lot of it would go. Of course, his acting would be there. But we definitely, I believe there's definitely some need for some more faces who have the ability to carry a storyline.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, there's one other shining upcomer that I think is really starting to go over. That would be Damian Sandow.
Ooh.
He's been showing some, they've got him doing this buffoon bit,
right.
But people in the audience are really starting to get in with it.
Yes.
I'm thinking we're going to see him in the top 10, probably not in the not too distant future, just because of the fact he's really starting to get some attention from the audience, a lot more than The Miz is.
I like his character.
Oh, I do too.
I like it.
Did you see him coming out being Sheamus's stuntman this week?
Yes.
That was hilarious.
Yes, that was good.
That was absolutely freaking hilarious. And his ability to mimic is just spot on. And I love the pasty white skin that they did with the representation of the white tights on him. And then he had that red wig on. He looked like that Professor Muppet.
Beaker.
Beaker, yeah. He looked like Beaker. But then again, Sheamus does too.
Yeah, he does. He does look like Beaker.
But I do see this as being a possible heel turn once again for Henry. It's either going to be him or Big Show.
Right.
I think one of them
it'd
will
be
turn
Henry.
heel.
I think Henry.
Between the two, I think it would be.
Yeah, I think it'd be Henry. One person that I'm still just waiting for them just to slam into that main event picture, especially with the Roman Reigns now out, is Dolph Ziggler. I think that's the one guy that, if you do like a 6-man tag, you put Kane, Rollins, and Randy Orton on one side, you put Ambrose, Cena, and a surprise guy, and that surprise guy would be Ziggler, I think the crowd would erupt. And I think it'd be a really good thing for them and be able to push him to that main event status.
Yeah. One thing they did recently, and I don't agree a lot with WWE creative, there's one thing that they did do that I thought was really best for business, if you'll forgive the phrase.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was taking that pole match out of Hell in the Cell and doing that as a live match on Raw between John Cena and Dean Ambrose. I thought that was a stroke of genius because now that opened up for 2 more matches within the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view.
Right.
Now you have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose in Hell in the Cell, and then another Hell in the Cell between John Cena and Randy Orton.
Right.
And what I thought was interesting was the way the storyline has allowed this to pair up. We have old school versus old school and new school versus new school. So we're keeping everybody within the same realm. So I believe that's actually going to work out to their benefit. I hope so.
I think it'll be interesting to see is which one will be the main event.
It will be. Now, that will be interesting.
Yeah.
And, of course, 1 week from tonight, as we are taping, we will certainly find out the final decision on that as Hell in the Cell broadcasts live from the American Airlines Center in Dallas. You'll be able to see the entire thing by going on to WWE.com and subscribing to the WWE Network for the low, low price of $9.99. Okay, yeah, we had to get that out of there. It's $9.99 a month, by the way, with a 6-month commitment. So be aware of all that. Meanwhile, stick around. Next week, of course, we're going to be doing our absolutely fantabulous, accuracy-ridden prediction program for next Sunday night.
Or lack thereof.
Or, yeah, it could be. It could go either way. Remember, I'm the only one with a perfect record on one pay-per-view.
Congrats.
Until next week, join us right here on SCI.